The World Series begins tomorrow. The Los Angeles Dodgers host the New York Yankees. Wow, star power, big city, big lights, big baseball. Big unit joins us now. Ladies and gentlemen, legend, icon, World Series champ, Randy Johnson.
Yay!
How you doing, man?
Good morning, everybody.
Randy, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously back with DirecTV. DirecTV still letting people watch without having to have big satellites. Shout out DirecTV, Randy. Good news, right?
And what better way to utilize those old satellite dishes than making bird ballparks out of them, and then I can make amends with the bird that I killed 23 years ago.
You're paying homage to it, obviously, and I read.
And it's even gone the next level because the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown is going to have one there on display.
See, that's what I read, and I was about to say, you made this bird, go from dead.
Yeah,
exploded.
Yeah.
Poof. Demolished.
David Carr.
Sniped. Bazookaed with a baseball.
Yep.
To now a Hall of Fame situation. Way to go, Randy. Way to come full circle on it. You're a good guy.
Next level.
Next level. Let's talk about next level. Dodgers, Yankees. This is good for baseball, right? When it's Dodgers, Yankees, big market.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I think, is it good for baseball? I think, there was a time where I think fans wanted to see an opportunity for their team to get to the World Series. And what you were seeing were the big market teams with the big payrolls getting there more often. So I think it's nice to see last year the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers, smaller payrolls, get to the World Series. And that happens because of the wild card, where you have more teams having an opportunity to get a chance to play to go to the World Series.
We thought the Detroit Tigers were potentially going to do that this year. The Cleveland Guardians obviously going a massive run.
Well, San Diego Padres had a great shot too.
Yeah, Padres as well. So there was a lot of those in the playoffs, and this postseason has delivered, Randy. This has been fantastic. What is your thoughts on how baseball is being played? It seems like big hits are happening in big moments. Pitchers obviously dealing in certain situations. Baseball's been electric. Do you agree? Is this high-quality baseball happening here in the postseason?
Absolutely. I've been watching more of the National League games, and I was watching the Mets series with Philadelphia, and you actually felt like the Cinderella team was going to be the Mets based on all their come-from-behind wins in Milwaukee and then Philadelphia. And unfortunately, their run came to an end, but I do watch more National League games than American League. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's a given. Both teams have great offense, but I think it's really going to come down to the depth of the starting pitching and how well they pitch to neutralize the opponent's offense.
Yeah, the way you pitched back in the day, different than it is now. Ty actually has a question for you.
Yeah, in terms of that, Randy, how do you think this series will shake out? Obviously, both teams getting a massive layoff so they can kind of reset the bullpens. Both starters are going to be on multiple days rest. But we were looking at highlights from when you were playing against the Yankees in the World Series. I think you threw 18 innings over the course of 3 games. One of them, obviously, complete game shutout, 4-hitter, I think, in Game 2. And then you throw seven shutty or 7 one-run ball in your next appearance. But in terms of the Yankees and the Dodgers, do you think that we'll get these type of pitching performances from the starting pitchers? Obviously, Cole's going to be going, but it seems like this just doesn't happen anymore. It's kind of, hey, give us 4 or 5 good innings, even if it's an ace like Cole, and then the bullpen's going to have to kind of piece things together. Do you think there's any way that from the horses we're going to potentially get, a 7 or 8 inning game, or is it going to be a bullpen series?
I think that what you're seeing now in the playoffs is here to stay. More mixing and matching, and you try to get the most out of your starting pitcher, whether that's 3, 4, maybe 5 innings, and then you go to your bullpen, which now is the most organizations' strength, because they know that's the game that wins them ball games. And I just think that there's pitchers. You might see that tonight. If Cole is on, he might go 6 or 7 innings, but you just don't see that a lot anymore when it gets to the World Series. And that started a while back, where managers were going into the bullpen and trying to mix and match a little bit. And there's been a lot of games, if you watch baseball games, where they take the starting pitcher out, and then all of a sudden the offense opens up for the other team because that starting pitcher was neutralizing, doing his job, and then you took him out. And then all of a sudden now you're behind in the game because you went to your bullpen, what I believe is too early. Get the most out of your starting pitcher, and then you get closer to your closer. You don't bring in a long guy when you gotta take into consideration what is better out in your bullpen if your starting pitcher is only giving up 2 hits and he's pitched 5 scoreless innings. Why would you be going to the bullpen? What better is out there than what you don't already have on the mound?
Yeah, you're a little different. You're old school. And I think CeCe Sabathia actually told us that he wasn't handing the ball over to anybody but Mariano Rivera. He said, so whenever you were coming out to try to pull me, no offense to any of my teammates, I have massive respect, but this ball is not leaving my hand.
You just bridge the gap between you and the guy that needs to get the last 3 outs, I mean, it's not rocket scientists. They've been doing it for 150 years.
Go ahead, AJ.
Randy, making these decisions, obviously the managers, David Roberts for the Dodgers, and obviously Aaron Boone with the Yankees. Like, what do great managers do? A great manager that you played for, how do they separate themselves from others, and what are some things that they may do that casual fans might not even have any idea is going on?
Well, I think the mixing and matching of bringing in the bullpen. Roberts does that more with the Dodgers than I see the Yankees do that. But the game dictates that as well. I'm just a very firm believer. If your starting pitcher is out there and he is rolling and keeping you in the ball game, why do you take him out and then hope who you're bringing in is going to pick up where the starting pitcher is left off?
We got to save your arm, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
Got to save the arm,
Now, you get to the World Series, it's all about winning it. You know that. I mean, you get to a Super Bowl, you want to win it. You don't want to get there. It's a novel idea getting there. Hey, I just want to get to a World Series. And then when you're there, you want to win, obviously.
Okay, so let's talk about that, wanting to win, because there's a player who, baseball's been put on his back kind of. Now he's in a big moment. Go ahead, Con Man.
Yeah, Randy, with that being said, how do you feel about the conversation around Shohei pitching? It seems like, obviously, they're this close. They don't want to risk it. Excuse me, with the Tommy John surgery and, him coming back this late, is it worth it? But what's the process coming back from injury? I don't know if you've ever been injured. How would that process go with Shohei kind of gearing back up? And how much different would it be between him, getting ready in the bullpen, seeing if his arm's right, versus him actually in the game and, re-injuring it once again?
Yeah, I think, we're 7 games away from a team being a World Series champion. If I was ownership or manager or whatever, I would just, and with the Dodgers, I would just let him continue to be the offensive force that he's been for the Dodgers. And then I would go into spring training and see where he's at, and hopefully he can be a big part of the rotation next year. The Dodgers will be surely, an easy pick to win the World Series next year when they get all their starting pitchers back. Buehler is pitching now. I've seen him pitch a couple times in postseason, and he's going to be a big part of that. Glasnow, Dustin May, and then you got, I believe his name is Yamamoto, and then Ohtani's going to be there. That's like 3 or 4 aces one night after the next,
Yeah. Randy, when you're pitching in the World Series, does it feel different? For instance, Adam Vinatieri.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, so Adam Vinatieri, when he's kicking, and I got a chance to work alongside of him, and you're talking about a guy who has the capability of locking in, and I forget the baseball movie, but it says mechanism engaged. It's maybe
Clear the mechanism.
Clear the mechanism or whatever it is, where a pitcher has to lock in. Kickers have to do the same exact thing. But Vinny was able, in practice, to almost put himself in a mental space where it felt like a game. But even him, when we got to the biggest moments, there was a different level of intensity and focus in those things. For you, World Series, big moment pitcher, what's going through your mind? What are you trying to control? What are you not trying to control?
Well, I'm just trying to control what I'm capable of controlling, which I've been doing all year long. And you got blinders on at that point. You're not letting outside interference come into play. And, at that point, it's you're running on fumes. I think, that year it was 2001. I had 240, 250 innings during the regular season. And then I made like 6 or 7 postseason starts with multiple complete games during that. So, and then, I pitched 7 innings in Game 6, and I come back and pitch an inning and a third in Game 7. I was running on fumes, but it's an adrenaline rush as well, and you try to use that to your advantage. And I was able to do that, luckily, and we won.
So, mentally, do you have like things you say to yourself before a game, or is it just focusing on each pitch? What was your mental breakdown?
Well, I mean, we come into the ballpark knowing that I'm going to be starting the game. If it was a regular season game, postseason is at a whole different level. I mean, it's that regular season game's not so much under a microscope, or you're not so much in a fishbowl. You have 34, 35 starts, and naturally you're not going to. Not all of them are going to be quality starts. And so you just kind of learn from those ones and file them away. But in the postseason, you don't have an opportunity to, pitch poorly. That game is the game that needs to be won, or you need to keep your team, with the possibility of winning. And that's the tough part, because the human error comes into play. You make a bad pitch, or it could even be a good pitch, and it could be hit for a home run, and the team doesn't survive. That's why the first inning, the second inning for a starting pitcher is critical. The quicker you can get in the flow of the game and throw strikes and get outs, the better. If you're putting base runners on and the opposing team is scoring 1 or 2 runs in the first inning, you're already behind the 8 ball, because you don't even know if your offense is going to recover from that, because now you're facing their pitcher, and their manager's going to manage accordingly. I'm winning the ball game. I'll take him out as soon as I see a sign of bad pitching.
Good to get started hot. Do you know if you're going to be pitching good in warm-ups? Like we asked.
No,
you do not.
There's been games where I thought I was lights out coming out of the bullpen, and I didn't last an inning.
Okay. It's gonna be
and,
good
then there's games where I couldn't throw a strike down in the bullpen, and I didn't know how this was going to go, and I pitched well. So, but you do want to be in the flow of the game, but there is an adjustment. When you're down the bullpen, it's not always the same as when you get on the stadium mound. They try to replicate as well as they can at a home ballpark, but when you're pitching on a visiting ballpark, there might be a big difference in the visiting bullpen to the stadium mound, so you're making adjustments. But you need to make those adjustments as quick as possible. I remember pitching a game it may have been 2000. I was pitching against Tom Glavine, and I gave up a home run, a solo home run, in the first inning, and I ended up losing 1-0. And so that's what I'm saying. You gotta be locked in right away. And in the postseason, it's just magnified 10 times.
You're a dog, Randy. Absolute dog. Love hearing you chit-chat about your mentality. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the hat you're wearing there. Chuck Pagano has a question for you.
I was lucky enough 40 years ago, my coaching career, Randy, started at Southern Cal, so fight on. One of our players, outside linebacker, Jack Del Rio, he always told us he was the best catcher that ever caught for you. Is that true? And do you still have a relationship with Jack?
Well, I followed Jack when he was the defensive coordinator in Washington, and when he was playing his playing days, and I'm not sure if he's still coaching or doing anything with the NFL, but Jack back there, he was a big target, and I knew, more importantly, during my college days, I was super wild. So hitting somebody by accident was always a great possibility. So knowing that there was a linebacker, all-American linebacker for my catcher, he wasn't the hitter wasn't going to get too close to me.
Yeah, it's going to do this. You got protection out there. A little bit of dust up pops up. No problem. I got it all figured out. Randy, we can't thank you enough for joining us on this glorious Thursday. How do you see the World Series going? Do you want to make a prediction or no? Do you do that?
Well, I mean, I just think the Dodgers, have the same offense as the Yankees, maybe even more so. And I think they have a little bit more pitching depth in the starting rotation and in their bullpen. And if it goes anything like it has, where their bullpen has been pretty solid for the most part, I don't want to get Yankee fans too riled up, but I would have to lean towards the Dodgers only because the first two games are in LA as well.
Okay, so Randy.
But a lot depends on Cole pitching tonight, and he's got to pitch well.
Okay, all right. So there are some things obviously that can change.
Oh yeah, no. Cole is their ace, and they have Flaherty pitching for the Dodgers, and so I like that matchup. And I'll take the Yankees tonight to win.
Okay. So Yankees tonight, Dodgers overall. How about? Do we have any more photo safaris coming? Any more photo museums happening?
Well, I have a coffee table book that will be released in spring of 2025, April next year. It's called Experiencing Africa, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm still recovering from my full knee replacement surgery. In fact, I got to have another surgery on Wednesday.
Godspeed.
And so I haven't done much traveling or much photography, but I'm looking forward to getting off the disabled list and coming out of the bullpen next year.
Okay, well, we can't wait to see you make that run. If the day after that surgery, you'd like to pitch me some balls, though, I would like to take, the big unit yard. Get him with one leg, no leg. Randy, you're the man.
Sure.
I appreciate the hell out of you.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Jonesy. Takes good photos.
Oh, yeah.
You think you're hitting him? He could be laying in a hospital bed. He doesn't need his legs. He's still throwing it 85.
Yeah, but at least that's my best shot. That's